So today I'm reviewing Struttin' with Some Barbecue. It's a Lil Hardin Armstrong novel and verse biography, and it's titled, the full title is Lil Hardin Armstrong Becomes the First Lady of Jazz. It's written by Patricia Hruby Powell and illustrated by Rachel Himes. And there's another picture book biography about Lil Hardin Armstrong, who not only was she a very talented jazz musician, but she was also married to the very famous Louis Armstrong. And in this book, it gives her credit for why he became famous. I have kind of an issue with this book, and that is, it's a long novel in verse, or not really long, but it is a novel in verse, so there's, quite a few words. And it seems to be written in, sort of like a dialogue, a colloquial dialogue, as if, Lil and her mother and Louis and, all the people they know are speaking. And in fact, there's, dialogue in quotes. And I just felt really uncomfortable because, there are times where it feels like, she's trying to mimic the way they spoke by dropping the G in verbs. But then other times she doesn't. And there also are jazz slang terms mixed in, but there is, it just sort of feels like, I think particularly because the author is not from the South, she's not African American, she kind of comes to this book as a dancer, a choreographer, who married a jazz musician. So I feel there's some, I'm not an expert in this. I actually ended up listening to some interviews by Louis Armstrong. I couldn't really find interviews by Lil Hardin Armstrong. I heard her sing. I found some videos of her singing. And, to me, it just almost feels like, when you have an actor who is mimicking an accent and they just don't do it very well, they sort of are in and out of the accent and it's really obvious. And to me, that's a little bit the way this book felt, the way it was written, trying to emulate the way they spoke. But the information I thought was good, and I liked how there was rhythm to the words that was trying to mimic jazz. But for example, on page 52 and 53, you see, basically dialogue or, the author's telling the story. And in some instances, she'll say, Lil told him he'd be better off eating vegetables. And so the G is there. And then on page 53, you have inconsistency. Now Louis's mama, Mayanne, come up from Storyville, New Orleans, to check on that boy of hers because she heard he wasn't doing too good. Fact was, Louis was doing better than good. So it's I don't know. Unless someone can verify this is exactly the way they spoke, which it didn't sound like it when I heard Louis Armstrong's interviews. It almost feels a little bit racist to me. And so that is my review. This book came out from Charlesbridge, and perhaps they will, or the author will, have more information about how she verified how the presentation of the dialogue is authentic.